All right, so let's go ahead and get that out of there. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Sports Pop Talk. I'm your host Eric, and we also have with us today our co-host Tori. How are you, Tori?
Hey, what's up?
Um, so, Tori, just like I said, here we go. It's the weekend. Did you have a good day yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I did my comic book show and then I was driving. So,
Okay. And how the comic book show go?
it was okay. I mean, it's sort of in the middle of the day on a Saturday, so I don't expect a ton of people, but
Okay.
it's just a fun, I mean, I think people watch it on the replay because I already have like 47 views on it. So,
Nice. Well, like I said, we are in the world of sports. We are Sports Pop Talk. Whether we're going to be able to talk pops or sports, you know. So, like I said, we do have a panel, and some of the people will probably come in a little bit. We do have, I know Fox is going to be taking care of some things today. Funkelos will probably be in, and also we'll be popping and Mr. Techbot. So we're just going to go ahead and say hello to the chat. Hello, Dana. Welcome. Thank you so much for dropping links. Appreciate you. We have Tats. Hello, Tats. How are you, bud? I saw Brandy. Hello, Brandy. How's it going? Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Let's see. And just strolling around a little bit. So, perfect. So, anyways, Tori, I usually like to start the show off, with some baseball cards. So, I was going to open these up and just see if there's anything, that we can just kind
yeah,
of get
so
excited about.
there's something that I learned about that's a series too, right?
Yeah, this is this
Top
right here.
series
Yeah,
too.
yep. So you have
So there are special rare and super rare cards in there that
well,
they don't have like the numbers on the back are the same,
uh-huh.
but the serial number on the bottom signifies whether it's like you could probably tell by looking at it.
Yeah.
Like the background will be a little weird.
Well, we'll go ahead. We'll see what pops up, and we'll go from there. Um, so like Albert Pujols, you got Albert Pujols, which is obviously a great player. So we got Mr. Funkelos, Mr. Dodgers. Got the Dodgers there. So Fox Crown, you got your Mets, J.D. Davis, J.D. Davis. So obviously my Giants, you got Derek Rodriguez. Oh, there you go, Tori. Here's your little specialty card. Um, very nice. You got Reggie Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little Reggie Jackson action. Just and then here's a cool card. This is the one right here. So Warriors of the Diamond, Stan Musial. Stan Musial, very cool. So just kind of looking through that. Not seeing too many cards for the other guys, any Red Sox or anything, but Blue Jays. Blue Jays will be one of our topics today. So just kind of want to get into it a little bit. I did have a sign, Tori, but unfortunately, my sign was here, but it got stolen, so I'm not sure. So I need to check with the Houston Astros facilities to see if it might be there or not. But um, you know, obviously, we have baseball has started a little bit. You got some games action today. Actually, you have the Mets and the Yankees are on board today. And let me go ahead real quick and I just want to share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and show you a list of.
Hey, I think he shared the wrong screen. What's up? Oh, maybe he got out and is coming back. I don't know. So in the meantime, I got some basketball cards.
Sorry about
Oh, there you are.
you put these things up on your. That's why I got to ask. Some of the other people that have had shows, like Brandy, maybe might be able to help me out. When you put everything up on your browser and you kind of get things going, um, for some reason my computer is a little sensitive. So if I move it a certain way, it just like exits everything out.
Yeah.
So and it's kind of crazy, but I'm gonna see if we can pull that up for today. Let's see here. Let me just double check here. So tell me a little bit more why I'm doing that about your comic books.
Yeah, so pretty much just, I'm not like collecting any one line. I don't plan on doing that just because, if you do that, then you're gonna get into like some really expensive books.
Yeah.
But, maybe like there's this new book out called Strange Adventures, which is a DC book, and there are only 12. It's a 12 part series. So I figure I could get all 12, and I'm doing a little speculating, and seeing what's available in the dollar bin, the 50-cent bin.
Oh yeah,
Seeing,
and there's always good stuff sometimes you can come up with. But so we do have some games on tap today, and I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and pull that up for you. So as you can see, we have on hand today. So you got the Orioles and Phillies, 3:05 p.m. So, you have the Mets and Yankees at 4:05, the White Sox and Cubs, and the Diamondbacks and Dodgers. So your spring training has pretty much begun. But one of the things I wanted to touch on a little bit today is just kind of get into the world of sports. Because as everybody knows, we are sports pop talk, and so one of the things that has been going on, you look around some of the other sports like soccer has taken place. For example, Diego Rossi, he had 4 goals in the MLS. They had a MLS is back tournament in Orlando, Florida, and so he had 4 goals in that game right there. So Diego Rossi. But we also have lost somebody in baseball, an umpire. He's very prominent in Detroit. That's where he's from, and we lost Mr. Rick Reed. And let me go ahead and show you real quick here. So yeah, Mr. Rick Reed right here with the Mets game, and we also have lost Mr. John Lewis as well. So unfortunate for that. It's sad anytime we lose people. It's always hard to deal with. But Rick Reed, just to kind of give a little insight with him, because with baseball, he was in the 1991 World Series. He had 2 All-Star games that he worked in the World Series. The '91 World Series was Minnesota and Atlanta. and he was also the plate umpire in the movie For the Love of the Game, um, with Kevin Costner. And so he's he's been around baseball. He loves baseball. He loves Detroit, and he's definitely going to be missed. That's the hard part. He was also um, in the game that George Brett got his 3,000 hit. So that was there. And the thing that's weird about that, the pitcher for that game was Rick Reed. So you have Rick Reed at the plate and Rick Reed on the mound. So he loved Detroit. He loved his Motown music. So he will be missed. And just wanted to go ahead and bring that into it a little bit. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about, Tori, was the colleges. There's been something going on with four-year colleges right now that some of the supervisors, the deans, there's financial fallout from the pandemic. And so they're pulling back some programs. I think they're kind of overreacting a little bit, but they're definitely pulling back. And so you have students out there, like you have programs that lead past to the Olympics, such as like there's only 17 men's gymnastic programs in the country, but you have swimming, wrestling, and water polo. So you have these, education universities that are thinking about pulling back, some of their programs, cutting some of their staff, kind of going from there. And I really think that the government should put into funds and money to allow that to happen, because I mean universities, I mean, they rely heavily on recruits, people coming in. It's just a way of life with the campuses. Definitely having programs is important. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, if the colleges get rid of those programs, something else will pop up, but it is a shame. And especially, I didn't, that seems shocking to me that there are only 17 men's gymnastics programs when it's an Olympic sport. That seems weird.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is, 17 can quickly become 10. With everything that's going on in the world, there's a lot of uncertainty with sports. You have, like I said, you have baseball is starting. Not only that, football is right around the corner with some camps and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of dive a little bit into that as well. But like I said, I wanted to just kind of bring that up.
Yeah, well, the other thing that's happening with college right now is that, they're talking about what the eligibility on players is looking like, because there are a lot of players who basically lost their eligibility for one season because they canceled the seasons. And for a lot of these players, it's important, not just the US professional sports, but overseas also.
Yeah, I mean it's a domino effect. And let's be real clear. I mean, obviously, life is important, and like you throw everything out the window. I mean, it's family, it's life. We have ups and downs, we have things that go on. But when you really get back to it, it's about, mom and dad, brothers and sisters and cousins and family, sticking together. We have things going on we need to battle. And, the only way we do that is we do it together. And so you look at the things like sports, I mean, sure, I would love to watch a baseball game and go to one and take my kids and stuff. But right now, what is the bigger picture, and I know we're trying to make headway with stuff and get things going, but before I get into the next segment here in the news of sports. Just want to go through with the chat again. So kind of mainstream. Hello, how are you? Dallas, hey bud, how's it going? Good to see you. A little Dana, just kind of going through Brandy. Like I said, welcome guys, welcome, appreciate it. The other one I wanted to bring up, this is really cool. Well, last year in the World Series, it was Game 5, and there was a young lady and her friend, and they were in the stands, and they stood up, and obviously Garrett Cole was on the mound, and nobody really knew what was going to happen. But then all of a sudden, Miss Julia Rose, let me go ahead and pull her picture up real quick. So that is Miss Julia Rose, and she there's Garrett Cole, and she's back here in the area. She decided, her and her friend, to lift her shirt up and show her top portion to the whole World Series audience and everybody in the stands, and specifically towards Garrett Cole. So she became well known at that point. With that, MLB banned her from attending. She lives in the Los Angeles area. She's a huge sports fanatic. But however, she's back in the news again, because the 26-year-old resident, she has like 4.8 million followers on Instagram, and like you said, with Twitter and stuff. But what she wants to do is she wants to knock on the door of Playboy. Like, she wants to compete with Playboy magazine and create a different magazine of her own, and have parties and social media and things like that. So she popped up into the world of sports. So, like I said, you never know when you go to games, what's going to happen. You've had people parachute onto the field, run onto the field. Everybody's, creating an opportunity to make a name for themselves. She has obviously done that. She obviously can't go to any baseball games, but she has been able to do that. So she is in the world of sports. The other thing, to shift on a serious note, is with high school sports. You're creating right now. This is the time of the year you would have summer football. You're getting ready for fall sports, and you have high school sports where they're now talking about moving everything to 2021. So basically they would have shortened seasons and playoffs. So like in January, February, they would go with winter sports, March and April, fall sports, May and June, spring sports. And, that is basically what they're looking at trying to do, for these kids. And they're trying to distance, with the football practicing, and, each state is, totally different with the number of cases coming through. But the protection, once again, is like, what do you do with your younger students, your younger athletes who are prone, with this because of everything that's going on. But from a university standpoint, a high school standpoint, a fan standpoint, everybody says, okay, we want to continue that role. We want to continue sports, and we want to try to find ways to coexist with what's going on, but at the same time, keep what we enjoy out there as well. So, what would be your thoughts on, with high school stuff? I mean, would that be something that could work, moving, saying, okay, let's just take this year away. Let's start next year. Let's see what happens. We'll shorten things down, but we'll still be able to have stuff.
I mean, the issue with high school sports is, a lot of these guys are coming into their own in high school as players. And a lot of them have hopes of playing in college, and losing 1 year of, coachability or whatever you want to call it, that's a big deal. And especially for like high school seniors.
Yep.
Because a lot of high school seniors, this is when they get, not the top guys in high school, but the second tier guys. It's the senior year is when they get noticed.
Well, but not only that, like if you get into spring sports, May and June, this is also when they're looking at graduation. You have your seniors, they're checking out, they're wanting to go on trips, they leave early. So like you might have a senior who can compete in a championship game, but now, like for example, when I coached softball at the high school, we made the playoffs, we continued our round. We made it all the way to the semifinals, and before that game was to be played, the seniors had a decision. Like if we had won that game, we were going to regionals. But there was also a Disneyland trip coming up for seniors around the same time. And that was the biggest issue because of the snow and because of things that created our tournament to be pushed back. So some of the seniors were like, kind of like, well, I don't know what, for me, obviously it's simple. It's like, hey, you get a chance to go to regionals and compete and win a title, as a high school, you do it. Like Disneyland, I mean, in all honesty, you can go anytime, but that was one of the issues that we ran into. We lost a heartbreaker. We didn't make the championship game, so we didn't end up going to the regionals, but it was, something that was on the mind. It was kind of hard to deal with. And so something like this, by pushing the sports back, is what you could end up getting. You would have an opportunity to go in and compete, but you're missing the majority of your staff. So I mean, that's something that I'm looking at. You have football right around the corner. You have these young recruits, are getting ready to get on display and compete like you normally would to make the team. So the question I have, guys, here in the chat for you, is we're wondering about the Patriots. So I wanted to show you this. Obviously, my fellow Patriot guys. Will the Patriots, will they be dread last? I wanted to, obviously, Cam Newton and Bill Belichick are going to have to form that relationship. So Bill Belichick, I think, is on board. He's got his new hairstyle, and definitely, we'll see how the Patriots end up this year. But leading into that, I have, Tori, my 3 burning questions. Okay.
All right.
So my 3 burning questions, and let me go ahead and throw that with you. So topic number 1, you have football like is going to start, and you have guys that are getting ready. Normally they would be in dorms. They would have an idea where they're going to stay, like what's going to go, an itinerary, things that are going to go on. And so you have guys that are young, healthy. They think that they don't have any problems, no symptoms. So, they're heading to the facilities. You have guys that are in different situations, family situations. They have concerns. There's so many question marks and a lot of issues. And it's like, what is going to happen with this? Because you go to these facilities, how is it being prevented? I know NFL wants to take a stand and leading into this, pandemic that we have, and present somewhat of a guideline for other people, is one of the things they're looking at. But you have basically players that want clauses, their salary and their bonuses, what about people that have like, conditions that allow them sleep apnea, things that's going to present health risks amongst the facilities. I know they were talking about having the players have separate entrances, the medical staff, the coaches have separate entrances into like the dorms and into areas. I mean, I know they're trying to, keep it away, but there's always going to be somebody, like I said, that, they're young, active, and healthy. They're just going to be like, like there's people out there that don't want to wear the mask, things like that. So, I mean, what do you see with football right around the corner? I know they want to start in August. And these young guys that are going to cities now that they're not living in, so they're in cities getting ready for camp, not knowing what's going on, how things are going to be affected. Like, what's your thoughts? What do you look at, with that?
I mean, I think at this point, the main, I guess, the scariest part about this whole COVID thing is the fact that there's no treatment. There's no like medicine you could take. But other than that, I view it very similar to the flu. Like during flu season, you be careful. You take extra precautions, like you wash your hands a lot. You try not to touch certain things, and you're mindful of like staying away from people, not getting too close.
Well, I get that, but I mean, I view myself like I've gone to go. I pull in with my car in the parking lot. I'm getting ready to go in the bank. I go halfway there, and I'm like, oh, I forgot my mask. Like sometimes you just like you're used to doing so many things on a regular level, and conditioning yourself is very important in this process, especially in this world of sports, with these football camps. These guys, I mean, there's already been what they said was 72 players have already tested positive in the NFL, but we are 48 hours from traveling to training camp. So there's a lot of players that are in the dark, like how things are going to be, what's going on. There's a lot of questions, and it creates problems of like, I don't know if like me as a player, a young player who has my future to think about. I don't know if I want to take a shot at a shortened season, or do I wait and see if I can try to get on next season, see how things go. So that, I mean, that's definitely, a question that is out there. That's something on the minds of these players. They
Yeah.
want they want the clauses, they want the bonuses. They want to know what kind of
Well, I think that's the thing, and I think you have to understand. Not a lot of people realize this, but especially in baseball, you know, the so the minor league season's been canceled, and those minor leaguers don't make a lot of money. They make like $40,000 a year, $60,000 a year, and I think there's been some compensation. They worked out some compensation, but they're losing a year's worth of pay, the majority of a year's worth of pay, and it's not like these guys are millionaires
right,
like the major leaguers.
right.
Major
Even when
leaguers
they're
can
playing, they're not making a great deal of money. So
right. They're hoping to get to the major league level where they can make a lot of money, but until that point, they're not making a lot of money.
so um so going into my next burning question, and like I said, this is kind of it's all sports that are around the corner. What's going on right now? So you have baseball, has started spring training, and they're looking, I think, on the 24th to open some things. So Toronto, the Blue Jays, um, Canada, they are denying play in Canada. The Canadian government is going to question safety on the travel back and forth. So obviously you have a lot of teams that would go to Canadian, interleague, whatnot. So they're looking at, possibilities of their facilities like Dunedin, Florida. But Florida has been a very strong hotspot for the virus. But there's also Salem Field in Buffalo, New York. And like I said, with the home opener not too far away, there's still some lingering questions about that. But, as a franchise, not being able to really have your fan base and play in front of your home crowd, or, like eventually at some point, just having that home feeling, being at home, your own dugout and things like that. What do you think as a player? I mean, what's your, how does that affect you knowing you're not in your own actual dugout, your own stadium? I mean, I know we travel and we're used to traveling, but at the same time, it's a little bit different when this is supposed to be your home game.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be weird, but they'd still have like their own temporary stadium. Where it's not like they'd be sharing the stadium with the Yankees, and they'd be switching home and away games. It would just be their own stadium, and it might be weird at first, but I think they'd get used to it. The big thing would be like, I don't know, the level of like what that stadium's like there.
Yeah.
Is that I don't
Well,
know what that.
this is their like AAA field. Like this is,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, yeah. So it's Salem Field. It's where the AAA field. So you're gonna have a little bit of, some fan base, but it's not as like playing in Toronto, and then
Right.
obviously too, like as I'm sure on some of these teams, they enjoy going to Canada for a series and being able to go after a game or the day before, just sightseeing and checking things out. So, Canada is, great place to check out, and that's getting taken away. So next burning question, that is on with baseball, like I said, right around the corner. We deal with streaks and records. So there is a lot to be cut short this year in that regards. Now Pete Alonso, for the Mets, obviously hit 53 dingers last year. Very solid. With this amount of games that we have, you're not going to like to be able to win the home run title, to be able to win the Cy Young Award, ERAs. For example, like Max Scherzer of the Washington Nationals, he has had 8 consecutive seasons of striking out 200 batters. And he's only going to probably see maybe 10 or 11 games, and that's not going to happen. Even if he struck out, 12 a game, it's just not going to happen, for that. So his streak is going to end. And the thing is if he had a full season, he could have tied Tom Seaver. Hey, Mitch,
Yeah.
how are you? He could have tied Tom Seaver, with his starts. So we're losing streaks, in that sense. Obviously, like I'm sure a lot of baseball fans are really upset, and players, with the Astros, but they actually would have had an opportunity to win 100 games, for the fourth season in a row, which would have been big, but that's not going to happen. But we also have back-to-back three seasons of 300 strikeouts. So Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole, who's a Yankee, would have the opportunity to do back-to-back seasons of 300 strikeouts. Now, only six pitchers in the modern era have been able to do that. Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, Curt Schilling, J.R. Richards, Sandy Koufax, and Rube Waddell. So these streaks, these stuff, everything that has the opportunity to take place is not going to happen. So, I mean, if you win Rookie of the Year, if you win Cy Young of the Year, MVP, even a World Series, like, I mean, you feel kind of like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's you gotta put the asterisk next to it. It's like how do you look at that? It's not, is it, you know what I mean? They don't get to have those streaks,
Yeah.
so that's, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I view the shortened season very similar to '94 and '95 when they had the strike, and when the strikes shortened the seasons. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure strikes were broken then, you
Yeah.
know. So I view that in the same light, but yeah, I mean, it does, you know, it would frustrate you a little, I guess, as a player, but at the same time, I don't think it affects the big picture. You know, you're when you're looking at a career, you're not really saying, "Oh, I, I mean, I think everyone's going to know that this season in history, everyone's going to look back and go, oh, this happened this season. And people are sort of going to discredit this season, you
Well,
know.
I mean, it's like where, I mean, as much as I want sports and I love sports and I would love to see it happen, you know, it's, it's hard because everything that comes into sports, winning the MVP, the World Series, Cy Youngs, the records, everything like that. I mean, can you imagine somebody that, like I said, you have Max Scherzer, who 8 consecutive seasons, they're 200, and now he had an opportunity to tie Tom Seaver, and that doesn't happen. So it's like, what do you do as a record? Do you say, do we not count this season for that and allow them to have a hold on the eight?
No, I think on like official records they would count this season, but like unofficially, you'd be like, oh, this season doesn't count really towards stats, like season statistics, because it is such a weird season. I mean, like this season, since they're only playing 60 games, you could see the first 400 hitters since Ted Williams. It's happened before where guys have gone 2 months and hit over 400.
Mm-hmm.
Recently it's happened where guys have hit over 400, and then for April and May, and then in June, everything went back to normal.
Yeah, I just think it's it's, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm gonna want to watch. I'm gonna want to see how it all develops, and I mean, obviously, football and hockey and basketball, you still have opportunities to kind of salvage something, but with baseball, it just really seems like if someone does win the World Series this year, it's, I mean, let's take for example the Seattle Mariners. So they haven't been to the World Series. They don't have a title. But let's say they catch fire in the short span of games and they win the World Series. I mean, it, do you, as a franchise, I mean, do you really like say, hey, you know what, you can't take this away from me. It is my title. We won. Like what, what would you look at it from that standpoint? All right,
Uh,
Golden.
yeah, I think you have to, it's a title. A title's a title. Everyone had the same circumstances. So, you can't take anything away from them. But, going back to the same thing where, like, people looking back on this season are always going to see it as, oh, it was only a fourth of the season or whatever it is, a third of the season. So, what is it? Maybe 40% of the season. Technically, that's what it is. So people looking back on this are going to say, oh, it was 40% of the season was played. But, like in 95, there was a shortened season because the strike lingered into the season. So people don't really look at the Atlanta Braves winning that season and go, oh, that was real. So I think everyone's going to look at it their own way.
Okay. One of the things that I'm trying to do, I don't understand. Like, it's kind of interesting. So Matthew says that it's still valid. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, look at how people would react to that, or players. Because I know with the players, they've obviously publicly have spoken, about the Houston Astros, how a lot of the players are upset, with things that are going on. It was interesting to see how that was going to take place as well this year, with that towards the Houston Astros franchise. But I know they've also circled around with some other franchises, in regards, with scandals and things like that. And it just seems like that's kind of what we're dealing with is, a lot of season of negativity. And it's not going to be a good thing, so hopefully we can focus on some positivity. Hopefully we can, let the season play out, and it can create some, great memories, some great moments. Maybe it'll provide an opportunity for a team like the Seattle Mariners in a short season to, get into the playoffs and kind of make some magic and bring that back, to the fan base. So that's what we're kind of looking at. So what I wanted to do was I did do a quiz, and I had a 22 question quiz. Hey, Batman, how are you? But for some reason, I need to figure this out, but I had everything up on my browser, right? And then when I went to go play, that one of the things that I had on there, the baseball schedule, when I went to go play that, hey, Flash Ray, how are you? When I went to go play that, for some reason, it took away my stuff. So now I'm going to where I created the quiz, right? And it's not showing the quiz that I made. And so I'm like, okay, how is that possible? Like, how could have that whole situation right there wipe out my quiz? You know what I mean? So I'm going to look for that real quick while we're talking. So I'm going to actually put you on. You said you had a couple of things you wanted to show off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
got
just going
some
to.
basketball cards. Yeah, I could show that off while you're
Yeah, just go.
figuring
I'm
things
just going to
out.
look at that real quick and see if I can pull that up so we can do a quiz. I had a really cool quiz put together. Even I know Mitch is here. There's some questions on Tombstone, as well. So I wanted to make sure we threw that in there. So let me see if I can pull that up.
Hey Bradley, what's up? So I found these cards in my collection, so I just thought you guys would find them interesting. I got a Charles Barkley All-Star. I got a Shaq LSU card. These are cool. I don't think they make these anymore, but it was a company called Classics where they did like college and high school stuff. Dominique Wilkins, Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, Moses Malone, Uh, Here's a Michael Jordan card. That's a cool one. Shaq rookie card. Got a Tiger Woods. A Joey Votto rookie card. Isaiah Thomas. Another Magic Johnson card. Another Magic Johnson card. Spud Webb, the shortest man to dunk in the NBA. It was 5'7". And we got a Dominique Wilkins. So those are the cards I got. And I thought they would, sort of, they're all older 90s, some 80s, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The Browns kind of suck.
Let me see.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been getting back into cards a little, trying to figure out,
Well,
some of
I
the.
don't. Look, here you go. Look, the Bears suck more than the Browns. So I don't understand what happened, but I stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. I put together a 22 question quiz, and it's gone. So, not sure why or how, in regards, but it was it's a pretty good quiz that I had. I don't know if I put it on anything else. I mean,
You could take me off full screen.
you like that? Let's take you off full screen. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what happened to that. So I mean, if I find it, then I can use it for the next time. It's interesting. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I had everything up on the top portion of my browser. I have to be able to go and share. And for some reason, when I went to go share the baseball schedule, the computer, took everything out, and so I don't know. But it shouldn't be gone. So, but anyways, we will move on a little bit. So normally we would do our game, which is. Let me go ahead. So let me show Matthew real quick. So Matthew, I wanted to show you. We're a little concerned with the Patriots. Where they're going to end up this year. So we say, where are they going to be dead last? They have Cam Newton, but Bill Belichick is forming a bond with Cam Newton now. So we wanted to show this to you. So definitely that right there, Bill Belichick, he believes he's got his quarterback right there. So, and then we had that. So definitely wanted to kind of show that. So, real quick, I just wanted to kind of a couple of questions to kind of ask a little bit, Tori, with kind of testing some of your knowledge. Let's see here. No, I mean, so he's talking about it with his Bears. And the Browns and Cowboys are playing each other in the Super Bowl this year. Nice. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted to have that trivia. So, I mean, I worked really hard on that, and that's what's kind of frustrating. Like I said, I had 4 questions from Tombstone in there, that I threw in there. I had a couple of questions based on some things we were talking about, some baseball, hockey, some whole 9 yards. But I cannot find it, and it's not even showing up in, like, how when you do your profile and you're trying to find quizzes that your collections or things that you made. So but I'll continue to look for it, or worst case scenario, I might have to go in and change my settings and passwords and stuff like that and do something with it. But I have a couple questions for you, bud. So,
Yeah.
just kind of test a little bit your knowledge a little bit. In baseball, oh, here's my kitty. Say hi, kitty. In baseball, in what year did the DH start?
The DH.
Yep.
So the DH started in I want to say 75.
75.
Yeah.
Close. It was in 1973. Not bad though. And then, so I was gonna ask. So I had, pretty much a couple of questions. Obviously for a pick six game. But we don't have our panel here to have contestants to go against. So question: which athlete played in a World Series and a Super Bowl?
A World Series and a Super Bowl? Deion Sanders.
Nice. See, look at that. See, if somebody was a contestant, they'd be able to go with Torrey Deion Sanders. Very nice. Grab one more here for you. What NFL team, or let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's do this. Who is the only pitcher to pitch back-to-back no-hitters?
The only was Vanderhall.
Close, but it's Johnny Vandermeer.
Vandermeer, yeah.
Yep, the Boston Bees and the Brooklyn Dodgers. So
yeah, Vandermeer.
Yep, so very cool. And yeah, so I mean, I had a couple of, I had some questions all worked out and ready to go for the game. And like I said, that's why with Sports Pop Talk, you never know which way it'll go. We have a lot of topics that we talk about. One of the things I definitely wanted to get into today was just kind of what was going on in the world of sports. With football coming around the corner, some baseball games, colleges and universities talking about, having to cut programs. So there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things that need recourse. You definitely look at how the sports needs to be a model, in moving forward. Like, they need to create opportunities. I mean, baseball, they don't really wear the face masks, I mean, football, you do, the shields and stuff. But I mean, like, if you're playing, yeah, you have cutouts of fans in the stands. And if the baseball hits one of the fans and they get to have that baseball, it's it's tough. It's tough right now. But at the same time, sometimes when things are tough, you just keep standing, and you keep working and you keep going at it, and that's all you can do. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So your thoughts, Tori, like, where do you see this next month, with baseball starting, training camp around the corner, then before you know it, you get hockey. Like, where do you see stuff going?
I mean, I think it'll be a lot like what we see in the winter in terms of, in the during NBA season, we constantly hear about, you know, not able to play because of flu-like symptoms. So I think that we'll see a lot of that, but regarding to COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's part of the reason why the MLB said to every team that they can have 60 players that are available in their player pool to use, because they know they're gonna have to rotate players a lot. So, but one of the repercussions is I just saw that the Yankees had to release Adam Warren today.
Mm-hmm.
And in the offseason, they had signed him to a 2-year minor league deal because he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. And that's sort of been like the thing to do is you sign those guys to 2 years so they rehab with you. And then the next season you get them on like a cheap deal.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to release him because they needed 60 players who could actually play.
What about Domingo Germán? Like, what's the story with that?
I think that guy's done. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, there's been a couple of domestic violence things, and I just don't think he's gonna be
That's
much of.
that's something the Yankees aren't going to tolerate. And I know
Yeah,
that there was, I didn't get to read like all the article part of it, but I saw him saying something about I'll be back, and so I wasn't sure in regards like if it was an injury or if there was something else with it. So there was some uh dark clouding area around him then, huh? Something that was going on that. So the Yankees, are they cutting him loose? Is that what the deal is?
I don't know if they're officially cutting him loose. I mean, like with everything, especially with domestic violence in sports, it's kind of hard to always know whether it's true or not,
Mm-hmm.
because people say things and then, you know, because professional athletes are in such a big spotlight, it's sort of very easy for a disgruntled person to say, like, oh, I was beat up or something. Not saying that it didn't happen, but it's not really fair for us as fans to just completely discredit them right away.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is, let it work itself out and see, how it takes shape, and kind of go from there. So are you looking forward to like any particular players for the Yankees this year that, to stand out?
Well, I'm just, it's just so weird this season. Like there were some players who could have started the season for the Yankees or played at some point. There's that kid Clark Schmidt who pitcher. He could have made an impact at some point for the Yankees in the rotation. Uh, Another one at the minor league level, not at the major league level, but at the minor league level, they signed that kid Jason Dominguez out of uh, the Dominican Republic last year, and he was he's 17 now, but he's so on the baseball for prospects in baseball, they grade them on the 20 to 80 scale. And usually with 50 being average, like they say like, okay, we think this guy will be average major leaguer. And it adjusts as they go throughout the minor league process. But he was graded as I believe he was graded as a 60. No, he was graded as a 50 as a 16-year-old, which is unheard of because usually they're very cautious with grading those guys.
Yeah.
And they were talking about him as like the next 5-tool player. So it would have been very interesting to see him actually play this year, which obviously isn't going to happen. But then you have guys like, throughout baseball, you have guys like Gavin Lux and, other rookies who,
it's not being sometimes.
How is not having a full off season, how is like being shut down and then starting a season going to affect them?
Well, I think a lot of athletes have facilities to train and to go out and do what they do privately, like in the Olympics, players. But the problem is now that you're facing live pitching, and some players, it takes a while for them to get going. They start heating up in July and August, or teams,
Right.
start. So now it's like a team that traditionally has started cold is going to find themselves maybe not getting into the playoffs because by the time they start getting hot, they're already too far behind. And a team that's starting hot out of the gate, could put themselves in a position for that. So
yeah, and it's usually the teams that aren't necessarily great teams that sort of are atop of the standings in April and May.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what the season is. It's April and May and then playoffs.
Hey, Mr. TechBot.
What's going on, guys? Sorry, I got busy in the garage working on some stuff, and I just completely lost track of time.
No worries. So I see you have a new background.
No, right now I'm really just adjusting. I'm probably going to pick up a new web cam pretty soon to readjust it. It's just I've changed around my whole desk perspective, and I had my laptop over this side before, and it was facing this way. It's just temporary at the moment.
Okay. Well, basically the topic kind of we went into today was a little bit with, you got baseball taking place, football's right around the corner. How some of these players, like, for example, the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be having their home opener, and they don't really have an established place to play. Like Canada is not allowing this travel. So they're not going to allow Toronto to use their home stadium. So they're looking at possibility of Florida, or also somewhere in New York they have for that. And so obviously, it's creating a, what do these teams do? We were talking about colleges dropping some of their programs, which would affect, a lot of, the players, the recruits, the life, of the campuses. So that's kind of what we have going on, in regards. Anything, hello, Mama J, anything that you have
really,
heard?
I think the way things need to change is, I think at an aspect, A lot of these leagues need to take a trick out of the NBA's book. To be honest with you, the NBA has been doing it smart, nonetheless working with Disney. I mean, that was a bidded job, anyways, because there was a bunch of other facilities that were out for bid. Disney just happened to have the bigger facilities and won that. But the article the other day on how NBA was doing all this, and they've essentially, with Disney's help, has created a bubble. What they're talking about, and they're keeping these players within that bubble, and of course, did quite often stuff like that to make sure. But I think that's how you're going to have to do it. I know NHL, I heard, is talking about doing it up in like North Dakota or something like that at some point. But the NFL, I'm sorry, they're going to have to do the same type of aspect. They're going to have to find a central location, and where you got spot set, and you're not going to have to do it without fans. I mean, that's the bottom line to it. Is we're living in a world currently right now that we have to adjust. We have to adjust and adapt, and we got to keep everybody safe at the same time. So, by doing that, this is going to be one of those weird seasons. We're going to get sports at some point, but we have to do it safely, and we have to do it well thought out. And hopefully in the next year, a lot of that will change and a lot of things will go back to normal. But, I think for this year alone, I think it needs to be well thought out. And I've been using a term that I know a lot of people agree with me on, a lot of people don't. This is the new norm, and whether you like change or not, you just got to adapt with it. I mean, this is not going to be forever. That's what everyone got to realize. This is not going to be forever. This is just what we have to do to get through this time, and we will get through this time. And 5 years from now, we're all going to look back at this, go, remember when? And that's the way I feel about the entire thing. But sports is going to come back. They just have to be a lot more well thought out and planned about it.
Well, I know the NFL has gotten together. They're trying to get doctors and people, staff, and everybody together. They want to create the platform. They want to create the leadership of showing, how do we coexist with this and still have the things that we enjoy. So they're trying to put that in the spotlight to be, hey, we're the sports that's going to make it happen. We're the ones who'll get it done. So that remains to be seen. But you
got to remember is a lot of these are going into the fall time, and I mean, even everything with COVID, we haven't even hit wave 2. And if history is going to repeat itself in this, and we're going to compare this thing to the 1918 Spanish flu, second 5 times greater than the first.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm you look at just you like one of the things we were talking about was the high school sports. This would be the time of the year, football players would be practicing, getting ready, as they go back into the fall. They had mentioned about pushing things back to 2021, where January, February would be your winter sports. March and April would be your other type sports. And then May and June would be the spring. And one of the things we talked about was, generally how some of these seniors start checking out towards the end of the year, with senior trips and just things that are going on. So if you get into the playoffs, you, as a coach, you have an opportunity to go to the playoffs, but you might not have your players because the majority of your players are getting ready to go somewhere, because they're going to think.
A thing too, when you're talking about even schools, I mean, there's a bigger topic going on with, whether schools should be back 100% or not, and I think that's just education wise, nobody's even talking about the fact of, all these kids doing their sports, usually high school kids are out there getting ready and stuff like that, as you said. And to be honest, to 100% in my perspective, that's not smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everything, especially at least on the high school level, definitely needs to be delayed, if not postponed.
Yeah, because they're talking about trying to isolate and like they obviously there's certain sports, like wrestling. I mean, you're in a shared locker room, you're on a bench. It's just, it's just really, really hard to kind of put it in that direction. One of the other things the NFL had talked about was going into having just the players go in different entrances, so you have the players, the coaching staff, the medical staff all enter from one entrance only. If then other like employees and stuff like that, and so they're looking at a lot of different options. So with everything around the corner, we don't know what's going to happen. The other thing, baseball wise, that we had mentioned was the streaks. For example, Max Scherzer has struck out 200 batters the last 8 seasons, and he would have an opportunity to this year to tie, um, Tom Seaver. But now that's not going to happen because he's only going to get, like 8, 9, 10 starts. So you got these records that, aren't going to be able to take place. And we were saying, that if a team like, say, Seattle Mariners, who have never been in a World Series, on a short scale, they get hot and they slide in, and let's say they go to the playoffs and they win the World Series. Do you put it like, how do you look at that? I mean, you'd be like, hey, it's still a championship, I mean, like,
guys, I mean, really, I mean, that's just no different from the NBA. I mean, they're doing this tournament style, and I mean, yeah, sure, somebody's going to be crowned a winner. I mean, the thing is, the whole thing is about everybody's kind of still trying to create isolation, whether there are states that are closing down or not, and we need some sort of entertainment, and I think that's where the sports come in. They still want to provide some sort of an entertainment. Now, do I feel that this season should count anywhere within a record book? No. I mean, that's no different than the MLB had the shortened season when they came back from the strike. To be honest, I can't remember who won the World Series that year, and I know most people don't even clarify that as a solid win because you didn't do a full season. If it's the Braves, then yeah, I mean, most people don't even consider that a full. It wasn't a full season, so you didn't go through. You didn't make the stride to get the 262 games, which that alone, that long season. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs that happened in 162 games, that where there are injuries or whatnot, and so there you have to take it to there. And I agree with Batman Popstar. A W is a W. I 100% agree with you, and take that for what it is. And whatever team does win, I'm still going to take my hats off to them. I mean, I hope it's a Boston team, but do I? If I want to talk about record books, if I'm looking back at like Back to the Future style sports almanac, and I want to consider this an actual record book, no, no. This is what they're putting out here is going to be 100% pure entertainment. That's it. I think most people would consider streaks to pick up after then. However, unfortunately, people like ESPN, who are numbers people, they're gonna count this, unfortunately, and unfortunately, it's going to give people new opportunities to create new streaks. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I was, saying, do you take something like Max Scherzer, who has an 8-year streak, and do you say, okay, look, based on something that we've never really been up against before, I mean, you do have your strike shortened seasons, but I mean, like, do we allow that streak to pause and say, okay, you know what, give you a shot next year? I mean, or you say
it depends on how you look at the streak, because he had that 8-game whatever your streak was, but he had that within a 162 game season. This isn't a 162 game season, so to me, you have to clarify your streak as what do you do statistic wise? You got to clarify streaks as without having the opportunity to make that streak within a full season. You're not given that opportunity this year, and not by their fault by any means. I get that. It's 100% not by their fault, but again, you have to base, to me, you have to base statistics off a full season, not a half or mediocre season. And then again, that's my perspective. That's not to say that's Tori's perspective. That's not to say it's Eric's perspective. That's not to say it's Batman Pose's perspective. That's just my personal perspective, and I think a lot of people out there, are going to be 50-50 on the fence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, yeah, so I mean, that's kind of where we're at. One of the things that we were doing today, I had a quiz, and I sat last night, I was putting it together. I had a 22 question quiz, and I even had like a couple of questions from the movie Tombstone in there. And but earlier I was going to go show the MLB schedule on here, and for some reason when I on my browser, and when I went to go click that, it took me out of the stream, and when I came back, like everything was gone. And for some reason, I'm trying to go to my join my quiz, the one I normally do, and there's nothing there. So I'm like, okay, it's weird.
I want to respond to Matthew's comment a quick minute. I agree with that. People need to, they still need to win games. Yes, that's regardless. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it'd be kind of cool, and Tori can even, say his piece on this. Is, to be honest with you, I don't think that because it's a short season, and especially a lot of these, like the NBA is even doing tournament style, I don't even think, in my eyes, I don't think the real trophy should be given out. I think they should reevaluate this and do a brand new trophy just for this season. Something that makes the people that win, something that, yeah, you didn't do the full season. You didn't go through the full season, the ups and downs of what it takes to do a full season, but you did win, and you won a tournament style. And I think they should create a whole new trophy. Leave the old trophies at home, leave them where they are, whatnot, Stanley Cup, the Lombardi Trophy, or whatever the NFL does, but leave those at home. Create a new trophy for this shortened tournament style seasons. And I think that would be a lot more respected as far as whether it's statistics or not, because it's something completely different, and it's not a full season, and it's not, it like I said, it's a pure entertainment thing.
Okay. When I'm trying to go through, yeah, I look at that. I think that's a great idea on that, because do players, if they do win the championship, I mean, do they celebrate like they normally would? I mean, would you, as a, you're like, hey, look, we played 60 games, we get down to the season, and here's the playoffs, and boom, and here we go, and then you win. I mean, as a player, I mean, it's important because there's so many aspects to it. What if this was the last year a player was going to play, and he gets to the World Series and wins a ring, or football, he wins the Super Bowl. So you have that scenario that everybody's going to talk about. I know the other thing side of the coin was the Astros. A lot of attention has got pulled away from them because of this. But heading into the season, there's a lot of players that are upset. The retaliation factor. Every time they go into a stadium, is some of the players going to get plunked when they from pitchers. You know what I mean? Like fan reaction. I mean, so there's a lot that goes on there.
The side of the coin to look at this is, whether it's an older player or not. Let's take Tori. Pick a player in any sport that is very well injury prone.
David Price.
David Price is very well injury prone, and let's say in 60 games he goes the entire way through without any problem. To me, that's not fair because he's injury prone. So most likely what would have happened in 160 games, he probably would have been injured. He would have been out. So, I mean, again, this entire sports thing is going to be, it's going to be like the comic books. It's going to be like the What If series. That's what it's all going to be. It's going to be a whole entire what if he didn't get injured? What if a real season happened and he did? So that's really where it lies, to be honest with you.
There's even, because a lot of guys got injured, because we did have the very beginning of spring training. So there were a lot of guys who got injured at the beginning of spring training and would have started the season injured and on the injured list, but now they're healthy.
What would have happened? Now those players would have been out. That team may have been, in a worse situation. And, again, it's the whole what if factor. That's why I say this season for all sports should not be considered as a normal season. It should be something in its own right, completely different.
And I think whatever the MLB and whatever the record books say, I think the fans and people looking back on this season in the record books will always go, oh, that was the season with only 60 games.
No matter who wins, you're always going to have an asterisk. You're always going to have they didn't play a full 162 games. They didn't play the full season. So they're never going to get their full due. Whoever wins it. That's why I say you've got to make it into something completely new, something completely different. And that way the people who do win, you can't take that away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you should take away anything from the team because everyone's playing under the same circumstances. I just think looking back on it and comparing this season to other regular seasons, people are always going to know that something was up.
Okay. So one of the things I'm still trying to figure this. So it's weird when I go on my phone, and I go to quizzes.com, I'm able to see the quiz that I made. But I can't pull it up on my computer when I go there. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how it's going to set up, but I put in the chat.
Here's the thing to look at. I mean, if you're having, and I know Wayne and I had this happen a couple weeks ago. Something just wasn't working, and it may be one of those where we drop back and punt. Maybe recirculate the questions for next week. Make it double long one. Something like that. You don't want to push something out that isn't 100%. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's weird because I see it from my phone, but it's like I can't. Why isn't I can't pull it up on the screen? So yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I was looking at I got to go through and figure that out because I see it there on one device, but it's not shown on this device. So I got to figure out why it's not syncing. But yeah, I definitely agree that, heading into this season, so many things to look at and so many things to see how they're going to get answered. But that's where we are today. I just, we're having a short little discussion. It wasn't going to be extremely long. I have, we were going to do the pick six game, but, we don't have that ready to go. Obviously, we need the contestants, and we don't have everybody to the panel. So we just kind of joined in on the conversation of what was going on in the world of sports, and we had NFL, baseball. The other thing, I was going to show you this. I made this, and I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts. Now, you're not a Cam Newton fan, of course, right? You're not.
I mean, he's on the Patriots, so I mean, I can't down him. I'm just not 100% sold on him, right?
Right. Well, I think that Bill Belichick is. I think he's really trying to buy into the Cam Newton thing. So the recent, the questions is whether or not the Patriots are going to be dead last this year. But we think because of Cam Newton and Bill Belichick, they're going to compete. But I wanted to see how you thought about Bill Belichick's style.
Here's the thing: being a Patriots fan, first of all, again, like I said before, I'm not upset that Brady left. I wish him the best of luck in Tampa, and I hope we eventually get New England Tampa Super Bowl. That would be awesome. But yes, and you can't doubt Belichick's knowledge of the game. And if anything, if I've learned, I know Will would back me up on this. If anything I've learned as a Patriot fan during the Bill Belichick era is there's been a lot of times players have been let go, or good players that were like, why did he do that? We've adapted a line of in Belichick we trust. He knows more than we do. And if he decided to go on Cam Newton and get that, tremendously, incredible contract with an MVP that didn't really hurt us in any way, then he knows something more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Cam's going to be a great quarterback, but I think he needs another year.
Well, you've seen, people come in and get, look at Tennessee, right? They pick up the Dolphins quarterback and resurgence, and, he takes them to the playoffs. And, obviously you never know what's going to happen when you slide into a system. You look at the Niners. They had Steve Bono. You have a system that works, things can get done. So yeah, you don't count out Bill Belichick for his knowledge and to get his team prepared.
Years. Look at guys like Darrelle Revis, came in on a 1-year contract. Everyone said he was done, and he came in on a 1-year contract, had an incredible year, won a Super Bowl, and left. It's time again where Belichick will find these players that everybody is counting out, come in, do an incredible year. And I don't foresee Cam playing with Patriots any longer than this 1 year, to be 100% honest with you. That I still think the future Stidham, and I think he needs one more year, in the bag. Yeah, I feel about it. But Belichick knows more than we do. He's not the genius for nothing.
Yeah, no, that's why it'll be interesting to see how it all shapes up and folds. But like I said, with baseball, I think you do have those teams historically, like for example, the Dodgers have always started out slow and then picked up steam around, July. You have some teams that start out fast and then kind of taper a little bit. So, how it's going to put everything in the perspective for competition and playoffs and stuff. So, so other than that, I just kind of wanted to kind of wind it down a little bit. Mr. TechBot, what have you got going on? Like anything coming up with your week ahead?
This is going to be an interesting week. We actually, it's going to be the same stuff as normal. Put out some videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we have our live with Wayne coming up, and him and I got something good coming up in the next couple of weeks, because of course he's past 1,000. I'm right on my verge of my 500. So there's some stuff coming up, and then Monday, in fact tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to be online with. We got invited to do a live stream with some Aussies, some Australian Funko people. Not sure how they found us, but we got a message, and they said, hey, you want to come on do a live with us? They're doing it at 9:00 p.m. their time, which is 9 a.m. our time. So it's definitely going to be fun and interesting, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I'm excited for it.
Okay. Well, that sounds like some really cool stuff. To just anytime you can branch out and do new stuff and get a chance to talk to new people and get an idea. I think that's great, especially with the streams. So looking forward to that coming up. So I definitely will be checking that out. Tori, what do you got going on, bud? What's going on in your world?
So tomorrow I got 83 Pop Talks boxes in, so I'm going to be dropping that video tomorrow. then I'm going to be doing my Trading Card Tuesday video on Tuesday. And it's, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with the cards. I'm going to be getting some new stuff. And so I think Tuesday's video will be Bowman boxes, and just videos every day. Then my comic show on Saturday, and then back to doing this.
All right. Not bad. Yeah, I mean, like I have some stuff to open up this week. I have some boxes to go through. I got a mystery box from OJ. I have Ross sent me something. I got a couple of pickups and stuff. What about this week is also the con stuff that's supposed to be taking place. Are you going to be partaking in anything?
Yeah, we were talking about that in the live stream this past week because, of course, and Tori was there. In fact, Tori is the one that hit us up when Funko dropped the news. In fact, they dropped all the news right in the middle of our stream, so we thought it was actually kind of interesting. But yeah, I'll be on Funko's at 5:00. I believe it's 5:00 Wednesday or Tuesday or something. I gotta go back and look at the dates. But I'll be on trying
Pacific, so it would be 8 p.m.
my time. So I'm gonna have to try to work my sleep around, but try to get on. And at least I want to try to get the Jack in the Box and the Michelangelo, and then for all the other vendors, I'll probably I think that next morning I'll probably be out early that next morning on Thursday, going out to get some. I think it's Thursday.
Yeah,
usually Thursday. Yeah,
be out at Walmart and Target. To at least Target to try to get the Stan Lee, but I'm going to keep an eye on Walmart all week, to be honest with you, because I know we've talked about it in our chats, and Walmart is weird. Walmart does what they want to do. So a lot of times when Walmart gets boxes in for Pops, they don't care what the dates are. They just put them out.
I've seen people posting that the Pops are already out at Walmart. So
I think it varies. It varies on certain Walmarts. I mean, I have gone into mine and like when they have the wrestling stuff and they're like, we're not putting anything out until Thursday. But I've also seen them like, even if they're out, like sometimes they won't scan through the scanners, so they won't ring them up. So there are some Walmarts that are kind of tough on that. Just like with Targets, they say release dates, they're not supposed to release them. But I've also seen where you go in and they're already on the shelf and it's like, okay, like,
Well, that's
most interesting was the Office line. I didn't even know that the new Office line had a date. I seen the entire set at Walmart. I mean, I'm not that big on Office, so I didn't get anything. But I think it was in a live stream and it was like, oh, I'm going to go get the Office on Sunday. I'm like, I already saw the whole thing. People were buying them up already.
Yeah. And that's what you just have to check. I mean, everybody knows their locals stores, better than anybody. You just got to have to kind of do the same thing, just go out and check, maybe on the Wednesday, give it an idea. I also use that app where they do the inventory, finder for the stores, like Target will show me what's in there. And so it's like Pop Finder. And I basically try to go off of that, as much as possible.
I get the Marty McFly from them. I mean, so I think I got a pretty good chance on getting that. But, like I said, try for Black Lightning come Wednesday night. I don't think I'm going to have a shot in hell, but I'm going to try for it.
Well, and that's the thing. You got to make that determination is like, how many people are going to be doing that? And do you think you have strong chances? Do you give it a shot? And, does it take you away from something else that you might want to get? And so, I guess you kind of make that list, your top, Pops that you really want, and then you also start thinking ahead, is there people that might end up with doubles of this that you could, end up buying from, or maybe they're going to waffle it or something like that, that you might find one in the chats, and the IGs and stuff like that down the road. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. You know, some people only want one thing, some people want everything. You know, you definitely just kind of like, I don't know, Batman. I don't know if you've seen the breast cancer Batmans and Supermans and Wonder Womans. You know, those things, you know, look cool. You have a lot of
characters.
Yeah.
The breast cancer ones are cool. It's just too bad they're DC characters. You know, me being a diehard Marvel guy, you know.
Well, they may get into something like maybe they have that kind of a contract where they say, okay, maybe it's first year we start with DC, next year we do Marvel. I don't, you know, it's a possibility. So you definitely have, you know, a lot of stuff that is coming out. So good luck to everybody. You know, it'd be interesting to see everybody's posts, you know, their videos, what they get. So yeah.
For us YouTubers, you know, I've got boxes that I haven't even opened from stuff. You know, I've got black light pops that have been coming in that I'm going to be doing eventually, and probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do a video on that where I'm going to actually make a black light box to display them in, which should be interesting.
I found one of my targets online that has a black light Iron Man. It shows one in inventory, but you know, the stores are like 2 hours from me, and I'm just like, yeah, I could just see that me driving down there, making it a trip to go visit family, but going there and then all of a sudden it's not there. You know, it's hard sometimes to look at the inventories and match them up. You get excited because you say, okay, well, there's a possibility it is there. But yeah, I mean, I've gone into places and found chases on the, you know, shelf. I've gone into places and the pops look exactly the same as they did last week when I was in there. So it's just hopefully everybody can have some luck and just kind of go from there. But yeah, this is just wanted to kind of hang out a little bit today. Had some ideas of what the show would have, you know, gone direction wise. But each week is week to week, and you know, some of the stuff we'll save it for, you know, another show. And so we hope everybody, you know, out there enjoys your afternoon. Dana, appreciate you coming in early, dropping some links. Batman hanging out and, you know, taking care of some stuff as well, dropping. You know, and just to support guys, everybody here. If you get an opportunity, Matthew is going to have his stream coming up shortly, a couple hours. Hope everybody enjoys their afternoon. And, you know, just stay positive, be positive, welcome positive, and just, you know, like I said, new week, new beginning, you know, let's move forward and just take on. We got a lot to look forward to this week. So, you know, a lot on the plate. So, but
right,
I don't
stay
know.
positive with everything, whether it's has to do with COVID or whether it's within the community. Everybody just needs to stay positive, and everything's gonna you know work.
Yeah, I mean, you get family, you know, family is family, and you find ways to work through things and stay together. So, all right, well, you guys have a great weekend or Sunday, and let's get ready for a new week. Appreciate you guys being here today. Like I said, we are the world of sports. It is Sports Pop Talk. We will talk pops. We will talk sports. We will play games. There's a lot of things that we will do week to week. So look forward to next week. We are getting closer and closer to football. And so we will touch a little bit more into that. And then hopefully we'll have some more information from baseball and things that are going on. So this is Eric, Two Boys and Their Pops. We have Tori, Unuseful Unboxing. And we have Chris, Mr. TechBot. And we are saying take care.
See you guys.
See you guys.